My name is Clark. I've been a member of Charter House for more than 11 years. I was diagnosed in 2000 with a major depression disorder, and I've had problems with depression since I was 15. Towards the end of the 90s, I became extremely suicidal. I also had some other problems that were coming up. One was anger. They like somebody switched a head on inside of my brain, and I just got so incredibly angry over virtually nothing. It only happened a couple of times, fortunately. But I also starting other problems with isolation. It reached a point where the only time I'd go out was to go shopping every couple of weeks. Other than that, I wouldn't even go outside the house, or I'd stay inside. And I was having problem talking to people on the phone. I get a lot of bill collectors because I was in the hospital in the 1990s. And of course, I didn't have any money to pay for it. They kept calling me. And my knees would get all weak, my stomach would get all nasty feeling, my hands would tremble, and my voice would keep getting higher and higher and louder. The first time I had depression was when I was 15, when my grandfather died. I was in the ninth grade. Over a period of time, I gained about 50 pounds. I wasn't sleeping, and I had problems with my own personal hygiene, which people picked on me about it, even the ones I thought that were my friends. So I barely passed the ninth grade. I had to take 2 summer courses, which was ridiculous. And then in the 10th grade, I missed more days than I was at school. I wasn't sleeping. I'd stay awake all night. I'd be tired, so I'd sleep in the morning. And it was just uncontrollable because I was so depressed. And it just got worse as the years went on. Fortunately for me, I ended up in Bridges about September or 2000. I had my sister's car, and I was going to Myers over in Pennsylvania. I came into the Pennsylvania side, and I never stopped. It came all the way, came right back out, up to that main intersection. I came that close to running the car into a tree. That was my worst, absolutely worst point of my depression at that time. The only reason I didn't do it, because the car belonged to my sister. Even it was kind of a piece of junk, I don't think it would ever reach a high enough speed where it would, do what I wanted it to. Somehow I ended up over to Ingham Medical. They took some tests. They had a guard outside the door waiting for me. They sent me over to Bridges, and by the time I got back home, it was the next day. The next night, I made another major suicidal attempt. This time, I called this person at Bridges, and they sent out the police and the ambulance. And I was in the hospital. They made me drink that charcoal stuff, and they finally sent me over to Bridges again. I was there for 5 weeks. One of the people who's a counselor that I talked to, he said that I had the most negative outlook in life than anybody had ever met before. That's when they started my medications, which I didn't really take on a regular basis like I should have. I was taking a lot of them. And I ended up coming here to Charter House. It took me a long time to get where I am today. If it wasn't for Charter House, I wouldn't be alive today. I know that, absolutely. Let's see. I want to encourage you to stay at Charter House, give it a fair try. Here you can find focus, you can find help to cope with your mental illness, you can learn to control your mental illness instead of it controlling you. I know what it feels like to have a major mental illness. I know how lonely it can be, even in a group of building or people, or even a house full of people. You're still lonely, and I know all that stuff, and I know it's painful. And I know you just get so tired of it that you don't care about anything. And that's the time when you are at the worst possible point in your life. You need structure. You need something like Charter House. There's people here who've had the same kind of problems you have. This is a safe place to be. And I just hope that you decide to come here. Give us a try. Make an honest try. It's going to take more than a couple of weeks, a couple of days. It might take you a lifetime. But this will change you if you let it. You're going to have to work on it, but it will change you. And you'll be happy that you did. Thank you. One of the first jobs I got was working at a gas station. The only reason I got it is because the guy who was the manager there was a friend. And we worked there for about 4 months or so. The telephone company came in to take the telephone out. We asked him why. And he said, because they're closing. Oh, that was news to us. The next job was probably about 6 months. So after that, same thing, working at a gas station. Same person that was managed hired me. They went out of business. And let's see, there's another gas station I worked at for 4 years. They decided to close that station down. So I worked for another few months. Then I went to another station, and after about 6 months I stayed there because they sold the place. So the new guy came in, let go of all the managers and all the people, rehired people. At that point, I didn't care much for people. I found them to be more of a nuisance than anything else. You know, I'd be out there pumping the gas, and they'd want to come up and tell me their life story, that their wife is cheating on them, or their kids are skipping school. What do I say about that? I don't care. I'm not going to say that I don't care, but I don't care, because I don't even care all that much about my own stuff that's going on. Because the way I cope with stuff is I just don't remember it. Or I don't remember it, but I don't work on it, I guess you'd say. I suppress the memories because they make me feel sad. And after that, I worked altogether maybe 6 years from the time I was 19 till about 25, 26. I did make out applications, but I never heard them back. And I just got so tired of filling out applications and not hearing from anybody that I just stopped doing it. And at that time, I was living with my grandmother. Nobody told me to get off my lazy butt and go out and find a job. Same thing as I quit school. Nobody said anything about not quitting or going back. They didn't say anything about my grades were dropping. It appears to me they didn't care, so I didn't care. And I haven't worked since. It got easier, sort of, not to work, not to look for work, not to think about work. And just the way things worked out for me. It didn't seem like I was much in control of anything. And I was still having bouts of depression, still sleeping bad. And it was easier just to not think about it and just make what I could day by day. At the age of approximately 23 till I was 50, I would have been in 2000. It just kept progressing. Worse and worse. I used to hang out with the neighbors next door, go down the road to another place, and I hanged out a lot with my brother and his friends till he finally joined the Navy, and the other ones, they just kind of went their own way. So I didn't really have that much of friends. And the depression, it just kept, I never knew what would trigger it at the time. And there wasn't much I could do. after it happened, I just sit down, lay down, or whatever until it goes away. And those periods kept getting longer and longer until the year, what was it, about the 90s. Once a month, maybe once every other week, and then maybe 2 or 3 times a week until the end in 50. A lot of the feelings were pretty much continuous. Like, I didn't have any hope. I had no contact with people outside my family. I stayed indoors. I became extremely isolated. I learned more coping skills. I learned how I could have goals in my life. I could have a purpose, which is something I never had before. And there's just much stuff that I could tell you about. It's kind of hard because there's just so much of it. But basically, Charterhouse itself, the way it's set up, the program that runs here, it saved my life, but it also changed it a lot. Even as long, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. Right now, I'm working on our advocacy unit. We are trying to change things so we can get ICCD certified. I like the idea that I can do something for Charterhouse through our advocacy unit. I want to leave Charterhouse a better place than it was before I started. And I'm going to stay here anyway till, well, natural causes there. But I want to leave the Charterhouse a lot better than it had was when I got here. But yeah, I work on the advocacy group. We make phone calls to the legislators or write letters. We stay abreast of topics that affect us directly. We have set up our advisory board, and we are making more changes in our education, housing, and our way we present ourselves to the community. And we're doing most of that through the advocacy unit. And that's why I like being on the advocacy unit. It allows me to make those changes. Thank you. And I've been doing a lot more on our morning meeting. I take over leadership, which is something that I would never thought I'd do. But the way I am today, the life I have, is all because of Charterhouse. Not much more I can say. I have a life now, and it's a whole lot better than it used to be. There are still some programs I can't watch though on TV, like the Animal Planet. I still can't watch that 'cause that makes me all sad and kind of bummed out. And I can't watch those doctor shows for the same reason. And my life now is so much different. You can't believe it. I mean, I can't believe it. I'm thankful for Charterhouse for giving me a new life.